Charlie Munger, I admire his skill of investment, but also the wisdom. And I mentioned that one of his sayings is, don't go where you may die. But the other one is, it's common sense, but the common sense is rare. And I agree. So I think I mentioned about this first one in the other video. That makes total sense. But it's a process control kind of a process of PDCA Shila Samadipanya, to say it in a simple term. But related to that is this other saying of common sense. It's common sense. We may have it, but we cannot use it. It's like we know as a knowledge, but it doesn't come as intuition, easy to practice. So what I think about my life and how I proceed and learning and forgetting certain things unnecessary, this is a process of problem solving, and it's common sense too. And the fact is that it has to be common sense, and when it's common sense and it has to be practiced, we have to nail it. Repetition is the mother of success, mother of skill. So in my case, I can give just one example, and I may post a flow chart of it because I think it's meaningful for my own sake too. The flow chart sounds like a complex technical idea, but it's not. It's just the common sense. But it may take time for someone who may not be used to it, but it's like a learning what causes to what the result. And if you know that and learn the process to overcome the problem, then just like in the case of the Buddha, you may have enlightened. But the common man who may be missing the common sense required certain process as much as the Buddha had done. And what he has done, go through some of the hurdles, he had the strong wish to do that, and he learned the process. So he shared that. And it's profound. But even it is shared, we cannot pick up easily to the point that it becomes common sense. So like my case, some idiot, but some willingness to challenge and explore the world, to learn the process. I have the principle of the PDCA practiced over and over, and even this flowchart idea, I use it like an engineering kind of common sense, and also written book about it, how to process control management. And this is the management of life, so the same principle apply as common sense. But I didn't do it because I'm lazy in relation to this computer issue, because I bought new computer and one didn't work, one was new, but it's too complex, and have new software that even makes the display changed according to the use of what I do with this computer. But I'm like a simple-minded, disciplined way. It's better than complex way that can handle. That's also in my book. So I like the reliable process laid out and work out the solution. But this new MacBook Air, it's so advanced that they changed the display. So even if I try to remember, write it down, the display doesn't come up, because depending upon how I use the computer, these things happen. So after thinking and questioning to Gemini or ChatGPT, I found that that's what they do. It's ridiculous. It's certain convenience for the certain users, but not for me. So this is a kind of discovery of what is the bottleneck and how to figure out. And in this case, is to use the flowchart is the easy way. So if you have some process that is already internalized, maybe you don't need it. But if it's in the process, you may want to write down, and explain or share even on YouTube what is the process and how you learn it. And over time, by repetition, those become more natural to process. So what I'm finding is that as much as maybe I'm just unconsciously using this basic process of repetition is the mother of success and going through the flow control or the process control of identifying the problem, solve the problem, develop the standardized approach and practice it, expose another problem. That's the kind of thing I wrote in the second book or the first book too. And I have to use it. And it's a common sense, as much as my books are common sense. But because of the habitual pattern, people don't use it. So I write the answer, and then I ask the question only without giving all the answers, because answer is common sense. So I was a catalyst to make the change. And I guess I'm doing the same to myself, but sometimes I make a mistake of not practicing those basic ideas, like having a flowchart. So flowchart, I keep saying, and you may think, what is this nonsense about? I cannot explain to you. It's common sense. So I'm going to put it for the sake of explaining, but at the same time, for my own benefit. One of the lessons I learned at Boston Consulting Group is thinking in writing is the practice. So if you have an idea, write it down and share it with other people. So that's become the habit. So I interview people, I write down. I have this experience and I had some idea, I write it down. In these days, I'm still lazy to write down, becoming more lazy. So I put into the YouTube and videos, but also I have to write down because I have to explain what that video is about. So it takes time. But pain for gain. It is part of us learning skills, and you cannot jump ahead. So if you have a short attention span, then just tell me what to do. Your life's future may be limited because life is not that simple. So eventually, as much as I feel the same about this issue about MacBook Air, upsetting me because I like the more basic computer than just doing so many things to do. But that's what I paid, and I'm stuck with it. And I'm not going to pay additional one because I spend money for it. I learn it. I learn something, and that applies to how I use my brain and draw a flowchart. It's pain for gain. And I'm sure what I feel is that from my life's experience, the pain that I have to do this writing, actually I wrote down a few times, but I'm going to do it in a flowchart diagram. I can do it in my mind, the common sense, but for the sake of my future, because who knows, my computer may break down or my memory go away, because I don't want to carry those stuff. Like Einstein says, if you can find in a computer or any place, don't keep it. I have the same principle so that my mind is open, but not knowledge that I cannot use, but somewhere I can rely on. So when certain situation happens, I know where to go and retrieve. And that's the process of the flowchart. But what happens in our mind and the brain is that if we condition us, the flowchart is developed in our mind without calling the flowchart. It's just the neuron connection of how things get done. So the common sense become valid common sense with certain experience base connected to that in our nerve system. So that's the orientation of how the AI is functioning from all the data to sort out what to do. We have to do manually, meaning that each human has to use the brain to make it that the process of retrieval information and processing become natural and common sense. So this is the common sense, all I talked about, and I spent 10 minutes almost, but the common sense by itself doesn't work unless we process it. It's like a swimming over and over, and you get better and better. Watch your swimming on the record and figure out, and watch YouTube and figure out. So that's the lesson, the process of life. For the common sense to become common sense, that may require uncommon effort. And life wouldn't give you a cheap answer in the short, for the people who have very narrow attention, short attention span. No, it's not going to work. The common sense is to go through the pain too, if it's needed, to internalize the process. And I'm doing it. I'm doing it in this turbulent world because that's what people are going through. I cannot just sit and relax and do nothing. I want to be involved, be a part of it, because that's how and what the humanity is facing. And it's my responsibility to bring out and share the idea as much as possible, even if people may not listen to it, or some people may listen, and that's worth it. I believe in it. Well, Buddha said that after the enlightenment, this is too difficult to explain, but it's a famous story that there's, I forgot the Japanese name, the god came down and asked him to share it. And that's what he has done. The difficult thing is to share the common sense, perhaps, and practice it. And it's the continuous process, so you might as well enjoy it. I'm reconfirming as I do this, because I'm a lazy person. And I don't want to work too hard. That's why I didn't do this flowchart. But the pain is necessary so that do this, this becomes automatic. And when I forget, I can go where to go and what to do. And it's all written down. And if it didn't work in that next time, this is still not refined. Then I'll find the solution and add additional part to go through it. That's how the growth of our brain and how to deal with the situation develops. Eventually, the situation changed, so you have to create another flowchart for that purpose. Don't complain. That's the reality of life. Let's find a way to find the mission, the focus, the process, and nail it, like this Takemika, the instructor's case that I shared. Be happy with what you got, and when you get onto it, you may ride the wave of the universe. We will. If you have a will, there's a way. That's common sense. Thank you.